Have you ever wondered what truly makes a man fall in love so deeply that he can't forget you, even years after you've parted ways? I've heard this question from so many women in their 50s, 60s and beyond. Women who've lived through countless relationships, yet still search for the secret to a love that's real. A love that touches the very depths of the soul. A love that doesn't fade with time, but only grows stronger, like a melody that echoes forever in the heart. I've spent years studying the insights of Carl Jung, the brilliant Swiss psychologist who understood the deepest layers of the human soul, and I've discovered a truth that can change the way you see love. A truth that says the deepest love doesn't come from the obvious things, like outer beauty, sweet words, or the efforts we make to please someone, but from a connection that's beyond the surface. A subtle resonance where your soul becomes a mirror, awakening the hidden emotions. Within a man's heart, emotions he didn't even know he'd been longing for all his life. For those of us in our middle years, understanding this connection isn't just a desire. It's a journey to live a life of meaning, fullness, and no regrets. A life where love isn't just a fleeting feeling, but a profound bond that brings lasting peace and joy. Even as the years pass, even as life's challenges come our way. In this video, I'll take you on a journey to explore what truly touches a man's soul, why he falls in love so deeply, and how you, by simply being your authentic self, can create a connection that transcends time. A connection that not only stirs his heart, but also brings both of you a sense of peace and purpose. A love that Carl Jung called a reflection of the soul. A love that can transform your life if you're willing to embrace your true self and open your heart to the magic it can bring. Let's begin with step 1, understanding a man's soul through Carl Jung's lens. To truly grasp what touches a man's soul and leads him to fall in love so deeply, we need to look beyond the surface, beyond the obvious reasons we often think of, like attraction or shared interests, and dive into the hidden depths of his inner world, a world that Carl Jung understood so well. Jung introduced a concept called the anima, an inner representation of the feminine that lives within every man's unconscious, a symbolic image shaped by his deepest emotional memories, from the nurturing love of his mother to the muses and caretakers of his childhood, all weaving together to form a vision of what he longs for, even if he doesn't realize it himself. Jung taught us that when a man falls in love, it's not always because of logic or reason. It's not about the things he can easily explain, like your smile or the way you laugh, though those things matter. It's about something far more profound, a connection that happens in the unconscious, where you become a mirror, reflecting back to him a part of his soul he's never fully seen. A part he didn't even know he was searching for until you came along. It's as if your presence, your energy, becomes a vibration, a frequency that resonates with the deepest layers of his being, stirring emotions he thought were long buried, emotions like vulnerability, tenderness, or the longing to be truly loved for who he is, not for the masks he's learned to wear in a world that often demands strength and control. When this happens, you're not just a woman to him anymore. You become a symbol, an embodiment of something he's been yearning for his whole life, something that feels both familiar and mysterious, like a song he's heard before but can't quite place. This is why a man's love can feel so intense, so unshakable, because it's not rooted in the everyday. It's rooted in the eternal, in the timeless dance between his soul and yours, a dance that Carl Jung believed transcends words, transcends logic, and speaks directly to the heart. So, let's take a moment to reflect. Have you ever felt a connection with someone that seemed to go beyond explanation? A moment where you sensed you'd touched something deep within them, without even trying? Next, let's explore step 2, the power of authenticity in love. Now that we understand how a man's soul can be touched through the lens of Carl Jung's anima, let's uncover what truly reaches into those depths. What makes him fall in love so deeply that you become a part of him he can't let go? It's not about the things you might expect. It's not about trying to be perfect, dressing a certain way, or saying all the right words to win his heart. It's about something far more simple, yet infinitely more powerful. It's about being your authentic self, living in a way that's true to who you are, without the need to seek approval or change to fit someone else's idea of who you should be. Carl Jung believed that when a woman lives authentically, when she stops trying to please and simply exists as her true self, she becomes a mirror for a man's soul, reflecting back to him the qualities he's been longing for, qualities like emotional freedom, depth, and a quiet inner peace. Qualities he may not even realize he's been searching for all his life. It's like a resonance, a vibration that speaks to him on a level he can't ignore, a connection that feels like magic, even though it's not. It's simply the power of your authenticity, the power of being you, without pretense, without fear, without the need to prove anything to anyone. When you live this way, you don't just touch his heart, you touch his soul. You become a presence he can't shake, a melody that lingers in his mind long after you're gone, because you've awakened something within him, something that feels both familiar and new, something that makes him see himself in a way he never has before. Jung said that the soul doesn't move by logic, it moves by resonance. And when a woman vibrates with her truth, when she's at peace with herself, her presence becomes a kind of silent language, one that a man's unconscious immediately recognizes, even if his mind doesn't understand why. This is why the most unforgettable women are often the ones who aren't trying to be unforgettable. They're simply being, they're living in their truth. And that truth calls to a man's soul in a way nothing else can. Have you ever felt that someone was drawn to you for reasons you couldn't explain, as if your presence alone stirred something deep within them? Now, let's dive into step 3, a man's inner journey when he falls in love. When a woman's authenticity touches a man's soul, when she becomes that mirror reflecting his deepest longings, something extraordinary happens within him, but it's not always what you might expect. It's not always a smooth or predictable path. And understanding this journey can help you see why his love feels so deep, so unshakable, even if his actions sometimes seem confusing. Carl Jung taught us that this kind of connection, this resonance with a man's anima, doesn't just spark love. It sparks a storm within his inner world, a storm of emotions he may not be ready to face, emotions that are both beautiful and terrifying because they pull him into the depths of his own soul, a place he's often spent a lifetime avoiding. At first, he might feel overwhelmed. He might pull away, not because he doesn't care, but because what you've awakened in him is too intense, too real. It's like a tidal wave crashing over him, stirring up feelings he's never let himself feel. Feelings like vulnerability, tenderness, or the fear of not being enough, the fear of being truly seen and loved for who he is. beneath all the masks he's worn for so long. Jung called this the beginning of individuation, a journey where a man must face his shadow, the hidden parts of himself he's kept buried, the parts that hold his deepest wounds, like the fear of abandonment, the longing for connection, or the desire to surrender to love without losing himself. This journey isn't easy. It's like stepping into a storm where everything he thought he knew about himself is called into question. And that's why he might seem distant, even when his feelings for you are stronger than ever. Because he's not just falling in love with you, he's falling into himself, into the parts of his soul he's never dared to explore. It feels like a paradox, a beautiful, painful paradox, where the love he feels for you becomes a doorway to his own transformation, a doorway he might not be ready to walk through, but one that changes him forever. So, if you've ever felt a man pull away just when you thought he was falling for you, don't take it as a sign of failure. It might be a sign that you've touched him more deeply than he knows how to handle. Have you ever experienced a connection where someone seemed to pull away even though you felt they cared? Let's move on to step 4, why women often don't realize their power. Now that we've seen the inner journey a man goes through when his soul is touched, let's talk about something that often goes unnoticed: the profound impact a woman has when she touches a man's heart in this way, an impact so deep that she might not even realize it's happening, because she's not trying to make it happen, she's simply being herself. Carl Jung believed that when a woman lives authentically, when she's true to who she is without seeking approval, her presence becomes a mirror that reflects a man's deepest desires, awakening parts of his soul he didn't even know were there. Parts that long for connection, for tenderness, for a love that feels eternal. But here's the thing. Many women don't see this power. They don't realize the mark they've left, because they're not doing anything extraordinary. They're not trying to seduce or impress. They're just existing, just being, in a way that's so pure, so real, that it resonates with a man on a level he can't explain. It's like a quiet melody that lingers in his mind, a melody he can't stop hearing, even when you're no longer there, because you've touched something within him that goes beyond words, beyond logic, something that feels like a whisper from his own soul. Jung said that this kind of connection happens in the unconscious, where a woman becomes a symbol, a reflection of the anima, the feminine energy a man has been searching for all his life. But society often teaches women to believe they need, to try harder to be loved, to change, to fit in, to prove their worth. And because of that, they miss the magic of their own presence, the way their authenticity alone can leave an imprint that lasts forever. It's as if you've opened a door in his heart without even knowing it, a door he can't close, because what you've stirred in him isn't just a feeling, it's a revelation, a glimpse of his own soul through yours, a glimpse that changes him in ways he might not understand for years. This is why a man can come back to you after so long, not because he misses you in the way you think, but because he misses the version of himself he found in your presence, the version that felt truly alive, truly seen, truly loved. Have you ever felt that someone couldn't forget you, even though you didn't try to be unforgettable? Now, let's discover step 5. Building a deep love through soulful reflection. We've explored how a woman's authenticity can touch a man's soul, how it sets him on a journey of inner transformation, and how she often doesn't even realize the profound impact she has. So now, let's talk about how both of you can Nurture this connection into a love that's not only deep but lasting. A love that transcends time and brings peace to both your hearts. Carl Jung believed that true love isn't about control. It's not about needing someone to fill a void or prove your worth. It's about reflection, a dance between two souls where each mirrors the other, helping them see the parts of themselves they've kept hidden, the parts that long for connection, for vulnerability, for a love that feels like home. When a man falls in love because you've touched his soul, because you've become a symbol of his anima, the feminine energy he's been searching for, that love can be the beginning of something extraordinary. But for it to grow, for it to last, both of you need to meet each other in that space of authenticity, a space where you're not afraid to be seen, to be real, to let your heart speak without holding back. Jung said that love is a sacred space for transformation, where both people can face their shadows, the fears and wounds they've buried, like the fear of not being enough, the fear of losing someone, or the fear of letting go of control. And in that facing, you don't just find love, you find yourselves. You find a deeper connection that's not rooted in need, but in truth, in the beauty of being fully known and fully loved. It's like opening a door to each other's souls, a door that leads to a place where you can both find peace, where you can both grow, not by changing for each other, but by becoming more of who you truly are, together, in a way that feels timeless, like a melody that plays softly in your hearts, even through life's storms. This kind of love doesn't demand, it doesn't cling, it flows, it resonates, it holds space for both of you to be human, to be whole, to be free, and that's what makes it so deep, so unshakable, so real. Reflect for a moment. Have you ever felt a love that made you feel more like yourself? A love that felt like a reflection of your soul? Finally, let's wrap up with the conclusion. Deep love begins with authenticity. We've journeyed through the mystery of what touches a man's soul, from the hidden depths of his anima, the feminine energy within him that Carl Jung so beautifully described, to the power of your authenticity, a presence that becomes a mirror, reflecting back to him the parts of his soul he's been longing to see, parts he didn't even know he needed until you came along. We've seen how this connection sets him on a path of inner transformation, a path where he faces his shadow, his vulnerabilities, his deepest desires, and how you, as a woman, often don't even realize the profound impact you've had, because you're not trying to be unforgettable, you're simply being yourself, living in your truth. And that truth resonates with his heart like a melody he can't stop hearing, a melody that echoes long after you're gone. Carl Jung taught us that true love is a reflection of the soul, a sacred space where two people can see each other, truly see each other, not just for who they appear to be, but for who they are at their core, a space where you can both face your fears, your wounds, and still choose to love, not from a place of need, but from a place of wholeness, where your connection becomes a source of peace, a source of joy, a source of meaning that lasts through the years. This kind of love isn't forced. It's not something you can chase or control. It flows naturally when you live authentically, when you let your soul shine without fear, without pretense, knowing that the right person will see you, will feel you, will love you, not for what you do, but for who you are. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt a connection that touched your soul in a way you couldn't explain? A moment where you felt truly seen, truly loved. If this video spoke to your heart, please give it a like, subscribe to Ageless Philosophies, and share it with someone who might need to hear this today, because you deserve a deep love, a love that's real, a love that reflects the beauty of your soul. And I'm here to support you on that journey, cheering you on as you embrace your truth and open your heart to the love you've always deserved.